Ladies and gentlemen, there will come a time in your life when you are left alone. No friends, no family support, no one clapping for you, only silence. That moment is not your end, it's your beginning. When you're alone, life teaches you what no teacher ever can. You stop pretending. You stop impressing. You start becoming dot. There will be moments in life when the noise fades and you're left in a room with nothing but your thoughts. No one calls, no one checks in, no encouragement, no applause, just you and silence. And in that silence, something unexpected happens. You begin to hear your own voice clearly for the first time. Loneliness isn't a flaw in your story. It's a chapter that everyone must go through. It's not a sign that you're doing something wrong. Often it's a sign you're doing something brave. Growth doesn't happen in the crowd. It happens in isolation. When the distractions fade and you're no longer performing for others, you're forced to confront who you really are, what you believe, and what you truly want from life. Think about the seed buried deep in the dark soil. No one sees it. It doesn't get recognition, but it's growing, quietly, powerfully. That's what happens when you're alone. You begin to build invisible strength. You start developing the resilience that can't be taught in comfort. You learn to rely on yourself. You learn to trust your instincts. You learn that you don't need to be constantly surrounded to be valuable. People often mistake loneliness as emptiness, but it's not. It's space. Space to reflect, to repair, to reset. It's uncomfortable, yes, but it's also honest. It's real. It strips away the noise of the world and shows you your raw self. And from that place of honesty and solitude, you begin to build something unshakable. So when you find yourself alone, don't rush to fill the silence. Sit in it. Listen. Learn. Because what feels like a period of isolation is often the universe giving you the chance to rebuild from the inside out. When you're alone, emotions can become overwhelming. One moment you're hopeful, the next you're drowning in doubt. One morning you wake up motivated, the next you can't even get out of bed. This is the trap when you rely on how you feel to decide what you do. Your life becomes unpredictable, fragile and reactive. That's why routines matter more than emotions. Emotions are like the weather, beautiful and useful, but never constant. You can't build your future on something that changes with every mood swing, every memory, every piece of bad news. But routines are the anchor. They're the structure that keeps your life moving forward when everything else feels like it's falling apart. When no one is pushing you, your routine will. When motivation disappears, as it always does, routine remains. A solid morning habit, a set time for learning, consistent hours for working out, eating right, sleeping enough. These aren't just tasks on a checklist. These are acts of self-respect. They remind you who you are and who you're becoming, especially on the days when you've forgotten. You don't need to feel inspired to act. You need to act, and inspiration will often follow. Build your day like a builder lays bricks, one at a time, with intention, with patience. Maybe the results won't show tomorrow, maybe not next week, but give it time. Routine builds momentum, and momentum creates change. Most people fail not because they lack talent or opportunity, but because they let their emotions dictate their consistency. They wait to feel ready. They wait to feel better. But those who win are the ones who show up whether they feel like it or not. So when you're alone, confused, or lost, go back to your routine. Not because it's glamorous, not because it's exciting, but because it's the foundation that will carry you through the storms your emotions can't handle. In a world that constantly pushes us to speak, to share, to react, there is something powerful, almost sacred, about choosing to remain silent. Talking is easy. It gives us a sense of control, a way to fill space and avoid discomfort. But when you're alone, constantly talking, even if it's just to yourself, can become a distraction from the real work happening inside. Silence, on the other hand, has depth. It has weight. It reveals things that noise hides. When you stop talking and start listening, not just to others, but to the silence around you, you begin to hear what you've been ignoring, the voice within you, the patterns in your thoughts, the truth behind your fears. Silence doesn't lie. It doesn't flatter. It doesn't sugarcoat. It simply reflects you back to yourself. And that kind of clarity is rare in a noisy world. Most people talk to be understood. But when you're constantly trying to explain yourself, you miss the opportunity to understand yourself. Silence creates space for reflection, and reflection leads to insight. You start noticing things, your habits, your triggers, your strengths, your wounds. You begin to see the reasons behind your choices. And in that awareness, growth begins. You also realize that not everything needs a response. Not every comment deserves a reply. Not every problem requires your opinion. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing and let things pass. Silence is not weakness. It's strategy. It's wisdom. It gives you time to think before reacting, space to process before speaking, and the ability to observe what others miss in their rush to be heard. The world rewards loud voices, but silence builds strong minds. So talk less. Let the silence guide you. In the quiet you'll find answers that words could never give. You'll find strength that noise could never offer. And most importantly, you'll find yourself. When you're alone, your greatest advantage is that you have uninterrupted time. Time to build, time to grow, time to sharpen yourself. But the mistake many people make is waiting. Waiting for the right team, the right partner, the right opportunity. They say I'll start when someone helps me. But if you want to truly survive and thrive alone, you must learn skills that don't rely on anyone else. These are self-sufficient skills. Skills that feed you, guide you, and protect you. Skills that belong to you, not to a group, not to a system. When no one shows up to teach you, you teach yourself. When no one's around to help you solve a problem, you've trained yourself to find the solution. Start with simple but powerful abilities. Learn how to manage your own money, so you're never confused or dependent. Learn how to write clearly, so you can express your ideas with confidence, whether in a business plan or a journal. Learn how to cook, how to take care of your body, how to speak persuasively, how to research, how to adapt to new tools. Learn how to work with your mind, so it becomes your strongest ally, not your worst enemy. Self-taught skills are weapons. In quiet times they build your confidence. In chaotic times, they become your survival kit. These skills create freedom. You don't need permission. You don't need applause. You don't need a team of experts to validate your progress. This kind of self-development makes you dangerous in the best way. Dangerous to fear. Dangerous to self-doubt. Because when you've trained yourself to rely on your own hands, your own mind, your own will, you become unstoppable. Don't underestimate the power of solitary learning. In an age of noise and collaboration, the person who can work quietly, independently, and effectively holds an edge no one sees coming. So invest in yourself now, while you're alone, because when life throws you into the deep water, the one who knows how to swim alone survives. Your mind is your greatest asset, more valuable than any material possession, more powerful than any connection, and more influential than any circumstance. When you're alone, you realize just how important it is to have a strong, stable, and disciplined mind. Because when there's no one around to motivate you, it's your mind that decides whether you rise or stay down. Investing in your mind daily is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Just like your body needs food and exercise to stay healthy, your mind needs knowledge, challenge, and reflection to grow. If you feed your mind junk, mindless scrolling, meaningless gossip, constant negativity, it will decay. But if you feed it purposefully with books, with ideas, with challenges, it will become sharper, more focused, and more resilient. Read every day, even if it's just a few pages. Not because reading makes you look smart, but because it rewires the way you think. Books stretch your imagination, show you new perspectives, and connect you to minds far greater than your own. It's like having private conversations with the greatest thinkers who ever lived. And if books aren't your thing, then listen, podcasts, lectures, interviews, anything that challenges your thinking. Think intentionally, ask questions, journal your thoughts, learn how to sit with a problem and explore it from all angles. When you train your mind to think critically, creatively, and calmly under pressure, you become someone who can lead, decide and build, no matter how lonely or uncertain the path is. Most people go through life reacting, but the ones who invest in their minds, who think before speaking, who plan before acting, who reflect before judging, they are the ones who rise above the noise. They don't just survive alone, they evolve. So don't waste your alone time scrolling, comparing or complaining. Use it to sharpen the most powerful tool you have. Because when your mind is strong, focused, and full of purpose, you don't need the crowd to move forward. You move because you know where you're going. When you're alone, the silence can feel heavy. There's no one clapping for your small wins. No one cheering you on when you're pushing through something difficult. You may look around and realize no one sees the effort you're putting in. No one notices the battles you're fighting in private. And that's exactly why you must learn to be your own biggest fan. Being your own biggest fan doesn't mean you're arrogant. It means you believe in yourself even when there's no applause. It means you look in the mirror and say, I'm proud of you. Not because you've reached the finish line, but because you didn't give up when it got hard. It's standing tall, even when everything around you feels uncertain, and choosing to back yourself again and again. People come and go. Their opinions change. Their support fades. If you build your worth based on how others see you, you'll crumble the moment they stop looking. But when your validation comes from within, no one can take that away. You walk differently. You speak with conviction. You take risks not because someone said you're capable, but because you know you are. Being your own fan means recognizing your progress, even if it's invisible to the world. You celebrate showing up on the days you wanted to quit. You acknowledge your own growth, how you've become stronger, wiser, more disciplined. You learn to speak kindly to yourself, to encourage yourself the way you'd encourage someone you love. It's easy to be proud of yourself when everyone else is proud of you. The real test is being proud of yourself when no one notices. That's where real confidence is born. That's where real self-worth is built. So don't wait for applause. Don't beg for attention. Be the one who claps the loudest for your own effort. Be the one who keeps going, not because someone told you to, but because deep down you know who you are becoming. Pain is unavoidable. At some point life will hit you in a way you never expected. Maybe you were betrayed. Maybe you failed at something you gave your whole heart to. Maybe you lost someone, or something, that meant everything to you. In those moments, it feels like the ground has been pulled out from beneath you, like you're walking through darkness with no direction, no strength left to keep going. But here's the truth. Pain is not meant to break you. It's meant to build you, if you let it. When you're in pain, you have a choice. You can let it consume you, allow it to make you bitter, closed, fearful, or you can take that pain, hold it in your hands, and use it as fuel. The very energy that once brought you down can be transformed into the fire that lifts you up. Some of the most resilient people didn't get there because life was easy. They got there because they turned their suffering into strength. Pain forces you to dig deeper. It strips away the surface level thinking and pushes you to ask harder questions about who you are, what you want, and what truly matters. It exposes your weaknesses, but it also uncovers your strength. In that rawness, in that vulnerability, you find the pieces of yourself that were hiding behind comfort. Don't run from pain. Face it, feel it, but don't stay in it. Study it, learn from it. What did it teach you about people, about yourself, about the way you used to live? Then take those lessons and build something new, something wiser, something stronger, something that couldn't have existed without that pain. It might be a new mindset, a new path, a new mission, or maybe it's just a new level of courage. Either way, that transformation is yours. and the world can never take it from you. The greatest power often comes from the deepest wounds, and when you survive something you thought would destroy you, you walk with a different kind of strength, a quiet confidence that no one can give you, and no one can take away. So don't hide your pain, don't be ashamed of it, use it, mold it, let it sharpen you, shape you, and strengthen you, because when pain is channeled into purpose, it no longer controls you, you control it. And that is where real power begins. One of the most common mistakes people make when they're alone is thinking that their worth depends on who stays in their life. They start chasing people, friends, relationships, attention, believing that having someone beside them will complete them, validate them, or save them. But the truth is, chasing people only leads to disappointment, exhaustion, and a weaker version of who you're meant to become. People are unpredictable. They change, they leave, they disappoint. If your focus is on winning people over, you will always be adjusting yourself to fit into someone else's story, someone else's expectations. You'll find yourself compromising your values, silencing your voice, watering yourself down just to be accepted. That's not living, that's performing. Instead, chase purpose. Chase the reason why you're here. Chase the work that gives your life meaning. When you lock in on your purpose, when you commit to building something that reflects who you really are, you stop needing validation from the outside. You stop begging for attention, because your attention is already consumed by something greater. You don't have time to chase people when you're busy, becoming the person you were meant to be. And here's the irony. When you chase your purpose, the right people find you. Not because you ask them to, not because you impress them, but because purpose is magnetic. It draws in those who align with your vision. People respect someone who's not desperate to be liked, someone who walks their path with conviction. You don't have to scream to be noticed when your life speaks for itself. Purpose gives you direction when everything else feels uncertain. It gives you strength on the days when loneliness creeps in. It gives you identity when relationships fall apart. People may come and go, but your purpose stays. It evolves, it deepens, and it continues to push you forward. So stop chasing people who don't see your worth. Stop trying to convince others to stay. Let them go if they must. Your job is not to cling, it's to climb. Build something so meaningful that even in your solitude, you are fulfilled. Let your life be led by mission, not by fear of being alone. Because when you chase purpose, you don't just survive without people, you rise above needing them. And that's when you truly become free. Peace is one of the most valuable things you'll ever possess. Not money, not popularity, not attention. Peace. That feeling of clarity, calm and alignment deep within you. The kind that isn't shaken by other people's noise, drama, or judgment. When you find that kind of peace, especially when you're alone, you must protect it like it's gold, because in many ways it's worth even more. When you're walking through life alone, you'll be tempted to fill the silence with whatever is available. Loud people, distractions, gossip, toxic relationships, meaningless conversations. But what you often don't realize is that these things cost you something. They drain your energy, cloud your thoughts, and pull you away from your goals. One interaction with the wrong person can leave your mind spinning for hours. One argument, one negative comment, one unnecessary involvement in someone else's chaos, and your entire day can be thrown off course. That's why you must be intentional with your time, your space, and your energy. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not every invitation needs a yes. Not every battle is worth fighting. Peace isn't found by fixing the world. It's found by filtering what you allow into your world. When you're building yourself, when you're healing, learning, and growing, you need a quiet environment, not just physically, but emotionally. You need room to think, to feel, to rest. You need to hear your own thoughts without them being drowned by someone else's negativity or noise. And that's why boundaries are essential. Boundaries aren't about being rude. They're about being responsible. Responsible for your energy, your well-being, and your mental clarity. Protecting your peace means walking away from people who disturb your spirit, even if you've known them for years. It means saying no without guilt. It means turning off your phone, leaving certain conversations, choosing solitude over chaos, and focusing on what makes you feel centered. Don't let the world convince you that being constantly available, involved, or responsive means you're strong. Real strength is saying, I choose my peace, even when it's misunderstood. Because when your mind is calm, your decisions are clear. When your heart is quiet, your direction becomes obvious. And when your life is peaceful, your power multiplies. So guard your peace with everything you have. It's not just something nice to have. It's the foundation of your success, your health, and your happiness. Let it be the standard by which you measure what you allow into your life. Because once you taste true peace, you'll never trade it for noise again. When you're walking alone, facing silence, rejection, or uncertainty, it's easy to start thinking that life is punishing you, that maybe you're being left behind while everyone else is moving forward, that you're somehow less worthy because you're struggling in isolation while others seem surrounded by support, success, and opportunity. But you must train yourself to think differently. You must remind yourself, again and again, this is not punishment, it's preparation. Life doesn't throw you into the wilderness to break you. It does it to shape you. It removes the noise, the comfort, the distractions, so you can finally confront the real work, building yourself from the inside out. This season of loneliness, of confusion, of grinding quietly with no applause, isn't meant to crush you. It's meant to carve you into someone who can carry the weight of the future you're asking for. Every delay, every closed door, every lonely night, it all has purpose. It's sharpening your patience. It's stretching your endurance. It's teaching you how to depend on yourself, how to regulate your emotions, how to trust your instincts, how to act with discipline, instead of waiting on motivation. These are the muscles you'll need when life gets harder, when the stakes are higher, when more people are watching and depending on you. If you were handed success without being prepared, it would crush you. That's why the preparation is slow, quiet, and often painful, because it's deep. Think of any great structure in the world. It wasn't built overnight. Before anything rose above the ground, the foundation had to be dug deep. That digging process doesn't look impressive. It's messy, lonely, and it seems like nothing is happening. But without it, the building would collapse under pressure. That's what this season is for. You're not being buried. You're being built. So don't curse the silence. Don't resent the waiting. Don't think you've been forgotten. You're being developed in places no one can see yet. One day it will make sense. You'll look back and realize that every lonely step, every sleepless night, every unanswered question was necessary. It wasn't life being cruel. It was life getting you ready. So lift your head. Wipe your doubts away. This is not the end. This is not punishment. It's preparation for something greater than you imagine, and for a version of you that can handle it. You were not born to fit in. You were born to rise, to lead, to create. And sometimes, that journey demands walking alone. So walk proudly, with quiet confidence. Because the one who learns to survive alone, becomes unstoppable with others. Thank you.